If you're grinding 10-hour days plus in your e-commerce business, you're feeling a little bit exhausted, busy all the time, but revenue isn't moving, you might be stuck in the most dangerous habit of them all. And it's not laziness, it's hard work. James Clear just explained something on the Diary of a CEO podcast that explains exactly why so many e-commerce founders plateau. And when I heard it, it was like a light bulb went off, because it's something I see very commonly in e-commerce founders that I work with that are doing 20 to 30K months. They're not underworking, they're actually over-operating. So let me show you what I mean.
There's this interesting thing that happens if you have a really good work ethic, if you have a strong work ethic and working hard has gotten you far in life, it kind of becomes a crutch. You know, for a long time, I was like, if I ever had a problem, I was like, well, I'll just work my way out of it. You know, I'll just work harder on it until I figure it out. And that's great. That's really powerful for a lot of things. But at some point it breaks, you know, like you can maybe, if you really try, maybe you can work 10% harder or 20% harder, but there's some limit. But if you work on the right thing, well, you could get 100x the result or 1000x the result. And so if you just keep your head down and work hard, it's very unlikely that you'll be spending your time in the highest and best way. And the only way to figure that out is to have time to reflect and review, time to think. You know, so you need enough time to think to figure out what should I be focused on next. And so I think that is it's almost reflection and review is almost like the meta habit that is above all others, because if you give yourself time to reflect and review, then you can troubleshoot your habits and figure out how to adjust them.
Now that line in there was brutal when he talks about hard work becoming a crutch, because early on, hard work serves its purpose and it gets you off the ground. But this becomes the operator trap. Because of what happens when things don't work out exactly as you want them to, you've trained yourself to work harder through these situations. For example, if your ad performance drops, you'll stay up late to fix it. Or if you have customer complaints, you'll fix them manually. Or if there's a supplier issue, you'll jump on the phone straight away. And like I say, for a while, that works. You're all over the business. You're hard on things when things don't meet the standards that you've set. But the shift that nobody talks about is that effort scales linearly, whereas leverage scales exponentially. Because maybe you're able to work 10% harder, 20% harder. You won't be able to work 10 times harder. And yet, most founders try. I'm certainly guilty of that. When I was at 20 to 30K months, I thought that effort was going to solve everything. More hours, more tweaking, more reacting, but I wasn't solving root problems in my brand. I was just patching leaks. And so that's what James Clear is covering here. He's talking about if you never step back and take time to reflect, you'll never ask yourself, is this even the right thing to be working on? And is this getting me to my ultimate goal? Because if you're just busy all the time, it feels productive, but it's often avoidance. Avoiding the things that are actually going to give you leverage long term, like systems, like hiring, like letting go of the things that you are holding as a crutch so that you work hard and feel productive every day. And that's where Stephen's counterpoint becomes so powerful.
I was thinking of times in my life where I was so close to like the picture and I was so in the trenches doing the thing that I hadn't come up to even say, actually, is there a system I could put in place to solve this problem over the next 5 or 10 years? Like, for example, is there a person I need to hire? Yep. So actually, should I go into the hiring process versus be in there fixing the problem myself? Should I spend 10 hours this week on hiring a candidate to do this, or should I be doing it? But sometimes you get so caught up in the trenches, especially when things are tough and difficult and moving very quickly, that you don't review your systems.
Stephen's point there is so direct to Ecom founders, because he's talking about that thing we'll experience so often. It's you're given a task that you know needs to get done, and you're asking yourself, should I spend the next 10 hours doing this, or should I spend the next 10 hours hiring someone to never have to do that again? And this is the entire operator to owner shift that I take founders through. Because hiring always feels like a sideways step in the moment. It feels slower. It feels like I don't have time for that. I just need to get the work done. But it's actually what's going to give us leverage long term. It's like coiling a spring, because you step back initially, you build the right role, you hire the right person, then you build the system for them to follow, and suddenly you're no longer the bottleneck in that situation. But most founders tell me that they'll hire when things calm down. But ultimately, they never do calm down, because the chaos is still coming from you being the operator in your business. So if you don't create the space to reflect, you won't see where you are being the bottleneck in your business. And if you can't see it, you'll never remove it. So James Clear talks about it as being a meta habit. Above all the different habits that he puts in place in his life and he teaches, you have a few habits that are above them all. And one of those is taking time to think and reflect and review What are you working on and where is that getting you? For e-commerce founders, that is a weekly KPI review. It's monthly systems and auditing the role that you're doing as the founder and the role of your team. And you're asking yourself, where am I still involved that I shouldn't be? What keeps breaking? And what only works because I'm the one that's holding it all together? Because ultimately, if your business is only running because you're pushing it, you don't own a business, you just own a job. And the hardest part of all that is that hard work is addictive and it lulls you into that sense of security, like you're being productive because you're pushing so hard. But real scale requires you to have distance from your business, because distance gives you clarity. Clarity will give you that leverage that you need, and leverage gives you growth and scale. So if you're stuck right now, if you're spinning the wheel, it's probably not because you need to put more effort into your business. It's because you need more altitude above your brand. Stop asking yourself, how can I work harder? And start asking, what should I not be doing anymore? Because James Clear didn't say stop working. He said stop hiding inside the work. And if you want to move from being an operator in your business to being the owner, that is the habit that will change everything. So if this resonated with you, subscribe and I'll bring you more lessons from the leaders of the industry, because these shifts are the ones that founders need to make. And I see it across e-commerce brands that I'm involved in or who I'm working with, and it needs to be spread across to more e-commerce brand owners. So with that said, hope you enjoyed the video today and I'll catch you in the next one.